Hello, my friends. I hope you all had a very nice weekend. I just can't get over all the responses that you had to our last video all about incontinence. So many of you, in fact, almost all of you, are in the same boat as I am, and most of women between 55 or even over 40 and on up to us gals have the same problem in one degree or another. But what I really kind of want to discuss today is something called side hustles or side gig after retirement. I thought I would also talk a little bit about a new, I guess you'd call it a filming device, something that's going to add a little upgrade to my filming videos for you. And it's called a face tracker, and I did a demo out in the garden, and I'm going to show it to you. I did the demo yesterday, and it's hysterical. What else are we going to talk about? Well, I'll tell you about my kimono, my hair. I know I didn't cut it, ladies. It looks short. I just put the rollers in, and I didn't brush it out. So if you think that you might want to join us and listen to some of this conversation, hang around and we'll begin. Our viewership seems to be mostly retired people, or once again, we do have a lot of gals in their 40s and 50s who like to hear about what's in the future for them, and we're giving them some answers, gals, aren't we? But there are many people who just can't wait to retire, and whether it's at 65 or a little bit before or a little bit after, you all think, I can't wait to get home and just do nothing and relax and whatever. And that is true, at least in my experience, and it was with Moosie too. And I retired from teaching at around 68, I think, 67, 68. And you get home and you settle in. We were in the process of moving into this little adobe cottage on our daughter's property. So that was so exciting because we were going to be surrounded by children. And can you imagine actually living 100 feet down the hill from one of your daughters and their children? That was just so fun. And by the way, that took up a lot of our time. We've been here almost 20 years. Can you believe that? It's been wonderful. However, after about the first couple of months, we moved in the summer. By the time the fall came in September and all the kids were going back to school and the weather was starting to change, I missed my teaching. And I also missed being a need to someone else, doing something that I felt was a great service to other people, especially children. And so I started substituting. And I did it sometimes a couple times a week, sometimes maybe once a week. I did take several long-term jobs. By that, it was usually maybe a couple of weeks for a teacher who might have to have a knee operation or something. But I did that, believe it or not, until I was in my early 80s. And I don't think I ever knew a substitute. Maybe one woman I remember in a school that I was teaching in was an elderly lady like myself at the time. But I tell you, I loved it. And it not only brought in a little extra income, but it does fill another need. So a side hustle, let me get back to that now. A side hustle is not only something that can bring you a little income if you need it. I mean, who doesn't like a little extra money if you're out doing something to fulfill yourself and at the same time being able to bring in a few bucks? Or if the money is not important to you, there's a million other things that you can do and not get paid for. However, there is a list, and I've made just a small list here of some of the, what I might call the top 10 side hustles for a retired person. Now I'm probably speaking mostly for women, but a lot of these could be for a man too. A man might have a different path he might go, which might be connected with the business that he was in all those years. And that's something else. But let me just begin to tell you about some of the side hustles that are easy. A side hustle sometimes might be geared toward your expertise if you have one. For instance, mine was teaching. And I did have a few other little things that I was equipped to do, but certainly my first choice would have been to go back. And it's so easy to substitute, and you feel so needed, really. Now, I do have a list here of some. I did a little research on this side hustle in retirement thing. And if you want to delve into it, I certainly am not the expert, but you can go into Google, which I just love Google. I tell you, I'm smarter today than I ever was, and it's all because of Google. When I don't understand something or I want to know more about something, guess what button I push on my iPad or my computer? It's that Google button. And Moose and I have often said, where do they get all their information? They know something about every little thing. So do go on Google and talk about, just ask them about side hustles for retirement or women or whatever concentration you want to get into. And you will get all kinds of information that can help you and places that you can even go to apply for some of these things. So let me read you a list of just some of the things that I found. And of course, I'm going to start it off. Oh, my glasses are so dirty. Honestly, I still haven't gotten around to getting them fixed, and they're always still falling off my head. And because I can't decide what I want to do. I love my frames, and I can't find any frames like this now. Plus, they're still loose, but I can get that fixed. So the top, of course, is going to be substitute teaching. And all you have to do is go to your local school district, and if you have the certification still in many cases too, depending on the schools you're going to teach in, you don't need certification, maybe just a certain number of credits that you learned for a while or something. But you can get that information from your local school district, and they would want to know what qualifications you have. Now, there's things like pet sitting or dog walking. So many people, almost everybody has dogs, and it's beginning to be the vacation time. And you can put a little ad in your community local paper or look in the paper for job opportunities. That would be one, and you'd get some exercise at the same time. Now, how about, I'm thinking of real estate or travel agency jobs. Travel agent, you might have to take a little course. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe the person that owns the agency would help you. But real estate, you would have to take a course and pass an exam. But I did that for years and was very successful. And then eventually I got my broker's license after a number of years of doing that. I would go in between things that I loved: teaching, subbing, real estate, owning a business. I wouldn't suggest starting a business. Maybe you could. Now, this is something for those of you who love crafting, and I know many of you do, and many of you are extremely creative. One of my friends, Sharon, makes the most beautiful hand cards with everything from, she does ribbon embroidery and very, very beautiful little intricate things. I haven't seen one yet. I missed an opportunity, but I understand that she just makes the most beautiful cards. Now, you could sell those at craft shows, or you could, if that's not your expertise, you might paint, or you might do ceramics, or making wreaths and flower arrangements. There are craft shows all over. And at one time, when I had a business called Romancing the Home, we did do this. We did a lot of florals and things. We'd go out into the homes. I personally didn't do this, but my daughters did. They were the decorators, and they used to decorate homes for weddings and showers and things, and they would be paid for it. I mean, it was amazing what they could do. We also entered some craft shows where they did that. So whatever you do, you could go to craft shows and enjoy that. Now, these are ones that might bring you a little bit of income. Life coach. I think there's a little course you can take to be a life coach, and you can do that by Zoom or tutoring. Now, that's something else that you can do if you have the qualifications. What else did I write down? You know, there were so many of them. House sitting. When people go away for a long weekend and they have pets, or, of course, babysitting. That brings up another thing, babysitting. And honestly, when I babysat, I used to get $0.25 an hour for babysitting. And believe it or not, my mother said she wanted me to do their dishes for them and tidy up the house and everything. And I did. And now I think you get $15 or $17 an hour for babysitting. But that's another thing you could do. But if you're not interested in getting a little extra cash on the side, and you just want to do something, your little side hustle or your side gig could just be doing something that just brings you enjoyment and keeps you busy. And you can go to your community centers, you can volunteer in schools, in hospitals. Oh my gosh, gift shops. I met lovely ladies in the gift shops that were volunteers when Moosie was in the hospital. And so many things you could do. Now, get more information from Google or whatever, but if you are considering this, let me know. Make some comments about how many of you have decided that you just don't want to garden and be in your home all day long, that you need a little bit more socialization. And a lot of times that's what it's all about, getting out and seeing people and feeling a need to do something for other people. So that's about all I'm going to discuss about side hustles, because you can come up with your own ideas about it. And if you want to do more in depth, there's places you can find out more about this. You know, speaking about retirement brings me back to my new face tracking device, my new toy, and how I actually came about finding it. I watch a video called Margaret Being Margaret. She's only been on YouTube maybe 5 or 6 months, or a little bit shorter than that. And she's doing great. She is funny. She is down to earth and natural. And she puts up several videos a week, not real long ones, but she's just doing her thing. She's a very independent woman, and she lives alone and owns a business, a hair salon that she has run for 37 years. I think she's been divorced from her husband for a long, long time, but she's a funny lady and she can do anything. She's one of these women that when I think of myself as one of these types of women, that if something has to be done, she'll climb up a ladder and she'll do it. And she lives in a big house that she's always had. She rents out another floor, which is partial income for her, but she is thinking of retirement. And she's at that age where she just is not enjoying what she does. She loves to go in, or she used to, and she has all these women that have worked for her forever and ever. And she has a very creative way of figuring out her retirement and what to do with her business. Go on her website. It's Margaret Being Margaret. I think you'll love her. But to get to my story about my face tracker, one day she got this face tracker, and it was a new toy. And like I did, tried it out in my garden. Margaret tried it out. By the way, I have a daughter, Margaret. We call her Margie, by the way. So Margie's a nurse. She tried it out and, would move a little this way and a little bit this way. And it's a funny video. It's about, she got it about, I would say 2 or 3 months ago. And she used it one day in her salon when they were taking down, I think, Valentine's Day or Christmas decorations. And it was just following her all over the place. And So that's how I found out about it, and I was fascinated with this toy, and I thought, I might be able to use that, especially out in the garden. Our little adobe cottage is tiny here, and I really, if I walk someplace, it would only be to the fireplace and back, and maybe 20 feet down to see Moosie in Moosie's world down there in his chair watching TV or wherever. But so that's how I found my tracker. And I will put Margaret's website right under here, and you'll love her. Oh, by the way, when you go and subscribe to Margaret being Margaret, please tell her that Nanny from Nanny and the Moose sent you. Now, I have a new tracking device, and it's a face tracker, and it follows my every move. Look at this, the way it's moving. Moosie is not moving the camera. It's sitting on its own little tripod. Now, I can even turn my back and tend to some of the flowers, and I can do anything, and it will follow me. Now, watch this. Come on, follow me. What I want to show you right now is this beautiful flower here. Let me just turn around and show you. It's a little low, so I'm gonna have to put it up a bit. But I think you can see this beautiful iris, and I'll give you a close-up of it later. There's one here, there's one down here, and I have 4 or 5 more coming. Oh, I hope we get lots of different colors on both of these urns. Now watch as I walk toward the cottage. It will follow me. Come on. Is this something? Look at this. Now it will even do a 360 if I walk around. I think I have it set for 360. Maybe not. Did it lose me? Might have lost me. Maybe it's only 180 right now. I might have to reset it. But as I walk this way through the front of the garden, I might have to put it a little higher up. I'm still learning how to use it, but you can move fairly fast with it as well. Now see, it has to see me every once in a while to know that it hasn't lost me. So I'm going over here to my tomato plants. It lost me. So you go back, you give it the signal, the high five signal, and that means it's got you again. So now follow me. I'm walking over here to the plants. Over here to the tomato plants. Yes, see? I have to get used to it. It has to get used to me. But look at this. Now, I did something in my PJs this morning. I walked all the way over to the garden. Let's see if it'll follow me to the rock garden. Come on. It is. Isn't that amazing? Now I'm over here at the rock garden, and it is still following me. Isn't this great? I can't believe this. I just can't believe this. I'm going to sit down in this chair now for a minute and see if it just stays still. Now, it's not going to do me much good in the house because my house isn't that big. Maybe in the kitchen a little bit, but even walking around the kitchen, I don't think it has to track me because my kitchen's not big enough. But it is so fun. Come on, Shamu, come on up here. Ghost is being very nasty to Shamu today. Ghost is chasing Shamu around today, and it's pure jealousy. That's all it is when I'm out here. You know, when you're alone and you want someone to move your camera, now there's certain things it won't do close-ups or something like that, but I can do those in between time. So I'm quite excited about using this, and hopefully you'll see this in a lot of the videos. Now if I lean back in the chair, yes, it will follow me. It just adds some new features which hopefully will help make my videos a little more entertaining and varied for you. So what shall I go smell? I'm going to go over there and smell that rose. You all had your own suggestions, plus many of you had that organ lift that I talked about that my mom had, and you were telling everyone had a story. You all responded with with your own experiences in this area, and you were very thankful that I had brought the subject up. So maybe we can find some other topics that people don't want to discuss, but that we can discuss to help us. Why not, for instance, someone suggested constipation, which is another no-no of sorts, and goes along with the aging. Oh, other people like me could have had this most of their lives to begin with and deal with it in one way or another. Yes.
If incontinence was so popular, what do you think about doing one on flatulence?
Oh, Moosie, did you just hear him? Usually he's outside when I discuss these types of things, but he's always either back there or over here when these subjects come up. And if you heard him, he said, if incontinence is such a popular subject, why don't we discuss flatulence? Now look that one up in your Funkin' Wynell. No, Funkin' what?
Wagnalls.
Oh, Funkin' Wagnalls, which is supposed to be an encyclopedia, by the way. I think he's kidding. Honestly, I think it's right, Mose.
I remember when.
Oh,
Let me tell you. On our honeymoon, we were in a supermarket, and I was reaching for a frying pan. And voila, it all began.
Yes, it was Moosie. And you know, when you're first married or you're dating or whatever, oh my gosh, if that ever happened, at least in our day, back in the day, it was, most of those things were very personal. And if that ever happened, you would just die on a date. But we laughed, and I guess that sort of broke the ice. Of course, we were beginning 63 years of marriage. So at any rate, who wants to discuss flatulence? I don't know whether I do or not, but let me know your thoughts on it since he brought it up. You might recognize my outfit today. This is my kimono, which I love, that our daughter Debbie gave to me a couple of years ago, and I've worn it a lot, and you've seen it, I know, but for the new people, I'll just show it to you anyway. It's that type of a day. When I woke up this morning, it was cool. I went outside and it had rained a little bit, so here we go again. And so I went back through my sweater pile, which, by the way, is a lot of it's still down here. And I dug out one of my big turtleneck sweaters, put it on, and then I was taking the trash out and running around doing stuff and trying to take some things out to the shed and hang up the woolies and in a closet in the shed. And I got so hot that I went back and put my little kimono on. But isn't this cute? It has the typical kimono sleeve. It's patchwork. And it's from a catalog. As I say, my daughter gave it to me as a gift a couple of years ago. And I'll put the catalog, if I can still remember, I'll ask Debbie what it was. I've started to make a dent in decorating the mantle for spring, and I've decided to use my blue and white to match the Dutch tiles. I have some spodes, some Chinese porcelain, and some Dutch china, and my pretty lavender wreath, which has the blue tones in it. But I still have a lot to do, including maybe having to paint the top of that. I think we leave coming next Tuesday or Wednesday, and we're doing okay. I'm making lists like a lot of you suggested, and the lists help because every day I think of something new that comes up that I just have to put down on the list, something to do or something to pack. I did go out and walk around with Brian and Moosie on Moosie's physical therapy walk today, and he's doing really good, getting prepared for our
Look
trip.
who's coming by.
Hi.
I think I'll walk along with you.
Thanks so much for watching, and thank you once again for just all the responses that you gave us on the incontinence subject on the last video. It was a popular one, so I know that it helped a lot of you, and that means a lot to me. As I said, we're all in this together. I love you all. Bye for now, and God bless us all.